Gerard Unger from the Netherlands has designed several successful typefaces, including Demos, Praxis, Noise Swift, as well as Vesta and Big Vesta. He's currently a professor at the University of Leiden. For many years, in different capacities, he's worked with Linotype, and several new projects are in development. Recently, he visited us here in our office in Bad Homburg. You've designed a number of typefaces in your long career. Is there a specific typeface that's really most important to you?
Yes, there is, and I think Swift plays that role in different ways. You could say that there is an early part of my career, of which are 3 type designs that have never been published, are in drawers at my home in my archive, simply to try my hand. And the first time I really felt completely free and felt that I could do what I wanted to do with the type design was when I designed Swift. When I had plans and they turned out to be even better in a text face reduced to a very small size than I had anticipated. So that was a very nice surprise. I suddenly felt being on top, wrestling with letter forms.
In 2009, Linotype released a new version of your Swift family, the Noise Swift. Aside from newspapers, for which Swift was originally intended, do you think that there are any other applications for which Noise Swift is particularly applicable?
Well, over the years, Swift has been used more for other kinds of publications than for newspapers. This is often the case. It has also happened that typefaces that were not designed for newspapers at all ended up being used a lot in newspapers, like Matthew Carter's Charter. So I wasn't surprised. I knew this could happen and would happen even. And no, I think it only is a compliment for Swift, that it's much more versatile than I even thought it was.
So, Praxis and Demos, which are the 2 typefaces used by the German federal government, how did that make you feel when they were selected for that purpose?
That was really wonderful, because I thought that Demos and Praxis were somewhat of a immature product, meaning not, well, immature is not the right word, but it was from a period when typesetting was in great difficulties with photo typesetting, where it was very difficult to control quality, and Demos and Praxis were designed to cope with all the problems of that period, sort of stand up to all these problems and be indestructible. And when, instead of the cathode ray, the laser beam arrived and resolutions went up, it seemed as if Demos and Praxis had become outdated. And I felt that they were from the pre-Swift period, that I was still the wrestling with the letter forms, the letter forms were on top and not me. But this all changed when it was chosen they were chosen for the German federal government. It made me feel great and gave me a different view of Demos and Praxis, and I love them more for it. And what is great is that every once in a while, Angela Merkel appears on TV with either my Demos or my Praxis behind her, and that gives you a great feeling.
In the decades since you started designing typefaces and since the technology has developed from those for which typefaces like Hollander or Demos or Praxis were originally intended, what do you think have been the most significant changes in typography?
The most significant change is a very recent change, is the change from paper to screen. There is hardly anything that can compare with that change. And the typography we have at the moment is entirely developed on the basis of paper. And the kind of typography that in 50 years from now we may experience on screen could be different in many subtle ways, not in big ways. Basically, the whole reading system as we know it will persist, but all kinds of subtle changes around the main core of typography will be influenced, and probably reading itself will undergo very subtle changes, cognitive aspects of the reading process will be affected, and so at the moment we have no idea what is going to change it exactly, because we're right at the beginning of the period, but it will make for a very exciting period. Think of what will happen in education when children start reading from a screen, learn to read from a screen. Will they ever go back to paper, or will they see paper as a strange carrier for text? And we have no idea. So I think this is a very exciting period.
For several years, as one of your teaching activities, you've been a visiting professor in the type design program at the University of Reading. What is it about teaching that you like the most?
From teaching, you learn most yourself. And in contact with the students, I have to constantly stay slightly ahead of them. You realize that they don't have your past. Sometimes I'm totally embarrassed when I start talking about 1967, the year I graduated, because most of the students weren't even born then. So they have led totally different lives from me. They come from different parts of the world. In the use of modern technology, they are way ahead of me. They have learned things that I can't even dream of still learning. So, innumerable aspects, I think, but the main thing is that it keeps you going, it keeps you alive, it keeps you asking questions, keeps you want to learn, to stay just ahead of the students, and so you learn an enormous lot.
Your students, what kind of world or typographic landscape do you think that they are going into once they leave school?
Well, the main thing is we have a few years ago there was a message on the news that for the first time on Earth there were more people living in cities than in the country. It was a completely new thing on this Earth. And the message the news missed was that, I think this happened something like half a year till a year ago, more is read now from screens than from paper. So basically, I have been designing type throughout my career to be read from paper, but the present generations and new generations will primarily design type to be read from screens, which is a different condition. And so I think many new designs will be needed, or adaptations of the old ones will be needed, but anyway, work lies ahead.
Do you look forward to the typefaces that you're going to be reading on screen in 5 years' time, 10 years' time?
Ask me again in 5 years' time. I have no idea. The developments go so fast, and there are such surprising developments that I don't feel up to answering this question. There is no answer possible at the moment. There is a transfer from one medium to another, from one carrier to another, from one main carrier to another main carrier. And this is a thing which has never happened before. Say, the change from papyrus to vellum, and from vellum to paper was all reflected material, reflected reading, and now we get these carriers that have light from themselves, don't reflect light, and which is a totally different condition. So I don't know. I'm following everything with enormous interest, but I have no idea how it is going to develop, how fast.
All right, we'll do this again every 5 years.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.